Of course. Hi, Ange. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. 100 games for you tomorrow. Does it feel like that long? Does it feel longer?
Um, yeah, I don't know. At times, the volume of games we have at this football club, it's not that long, in terms of length of time. But I guess 100 games is fairly significant. Would have been pretty long odds when I took the job that I'd reach it. So I guess that's something.
We saw the little interaction between you and Cameron at the game on Sunday. What does that say about the relationship that you've got and the players have all got with each other?
Is that the GIF you were? Yeah, I just got an education from Ian on what a GIF is. All right. Yeah. Look, I guess so. Look, I'm a human being. I'd like to think I've got a sense of humour. My mates tell me I'm pretty funny, but that's all right. But don't be mistaken. I'm not in the dressing room pulling pranks and giggling in the corner at others' misfortune. It's just, like I said, we're human beings, and I think no one's more surprised than me, other than Cameron himself, at the pass he made that in that moment. So yeah.
Hi, Ange. Just on your 100 games coming up, is there a proudest moment? Is there a moment that sticks in your mind, most of all, when you look back at these 100 games?
Yeah, day I was appointed, mate. That was it for me, and all you can ever ask for in life, and particularly somebody like myself, I've always felt is an opportunity, and if people give you that opportunity, then the rest is kind of up to each individual or myself to take that. But given the opportunity to manage this great football club, was the best day for me, and then just been working hard ever since to hopefully repay that the faith that people showed in me.
Given you've won 3 trophies in that time and on course for a fourth with the league and maybe the Scottish Cup to come as well, I just wondered, as you talked about when you were appointed, have you exceeded your own expectations at this time in charge of what you've actually won so far in those 100 games? I suggest that smile maybe means no.
No, mate, I haven't taken the job and thought I wasn't going to do well. So, I think, and I've said a few times that, that's the responsibility you have being at this football club, is you understand that, success, tangible success in terms of trophies is an expectation. And so I clearly understood that, and I've said a few times that I knew that I had to deliver that, fairly quickly if I was going to be here for 100 games. Not because of, the club stance, but just because I know that that's what this club demands. I guess from my perspective, my focus is always around the football. The kind of team you want to be, and the kind of team, kind of football we want to play. And I think it's fair to say, with that, I think, what we've achieved in close to just over 18 months or 20 months, whatever it is, has been probably the most pleasing part. That we're really well down the track in terms of playing the kind of football and being the kind of football team I want us to be, which is great. Which means that I can keep accelerating this and sort of make us a more compelling football team. So that's where I get probably the most sort of satisfaction. Not that you disregard the success or the trophies, because like I said, they're the key part, the key cornerstone for any manager, at any football club, particularly this one. But I think the kind of football we played has been probably the thing that has sort of pleased me the most.
On that note, Ange, how far would you say you're into your project? Are you near where you want to be? Are you nowhere near where you want to be?
It's an ever-vanishing target, mate. So if I think I'm close, then it just gets further away. That's the way I've approached my sort of managerial career, and that's the way I've approached every club I've managed. There is no target. I've never set any goals, because I've always felt that setting goals means that at some point there's an end point, and I just don't want there to be an end point. I just want to keep improving and keep sort of pushing the boundaries of how good we can be as a football club, and how good I can make these players, and how better I can get us playing the kind of football I want us to. So we'll always be at a point where where we want to be is further down the road.
I spoke to Matt there a few minutes ago, and he was very complimentary about, Matt O'Reilly, about the culture at the club. And I wonder if that's one of the things that you're most proud of as well, because for any manager or chief exec or whatever the organisation is, culture change is not an easy thing. But maybe one of the compliments we could play you is that you have made it look easy.
Yeah, no, it's not, like you're right, and that was one of the key things of it. You know, I've always felt and I've always believed that culture is people. You know, irrespective of what kind of environment you want to set and what kind of behaviours you want people to have, it's a lot easier to do that if you have the right people. And by the right people, I mean people who have, you know, the values that you're looking for, the kind of character and personality that you're looking for. So that includes staff, that includes footballers, and then those kind of things then become a lot easier and almost self-fulfilling because, you know, I'm not having to tell people what they need to do every minute of the day. You know, it's kind of, there's an understanding there that because they're all sort of like-minded and have similar values and sort of similar ambitions, that it drives itself. And you know, like I said, if you go in and try and change a culture by, you know, putting rules in place or demanding certain things, it's not going to work if you don't have the right people. And yeah, for me, it begins and ends with people. You get the right people around you, then you've got more chance of creating the environment and the culture you want.
Ange, could you see yourself here for another 100 games? Would you like to be here for another 100 games?
Can you see me here for another 100 games, mate? Are you a good judge of that?
Well, it's up to yourself. Given the success...
Well, it's not up to myself. It isn't, because no manager lives in isolation. We all have, you know, we all work with people. We all have organisations we work for. So it's never... there's no manager that will sit down and say, well, I will be here. It's not our decision sometimes, mate. So that's why I consistently have always said that I don't think about those kind of things. What I think about is my responsibility at the moment. My responsibility at the moment is to produce, you know, a football team that that brings success to this football club and that the fans can be proud of. And beyond that, anything that happens is kind of irrelevant to what's most important.
Looking ahead to tomorrow then, what do you expect from Hearts? Obviously, it's strange playing them 2 times in 4 days in 2 different competitions.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. I mean, I think it's probably, you guys know better than me, it's one of the quirks of Scottish football where it happens more often probably in other leagues. I mean, we've already had it with Kilmarnock in the league and the League Cup semi back-to-back. So, yeah, it's kind of, you understand that, you know, more than likely we'll end up playing Hearts again in the league. So, again, what we've tried to do is treat every sort of challenge separately, every game separately, every competition separately, so that our approach doesn't change. Because I think if you fall into the trap of just lumping these 2 games together and say, well, this is going to be our approach in both these games, I don't think it works. We all know league games are different to cup games. We all know playing at home is different to playing away, particularly, you know, playing at Celtic Park and playing at Tynecastle. So I think even though you're playing the same opposition, I think we're preparing ourselves for 2 different games, and we haven't looked beyond tomorrow night at the moment. That's where our focus is. And, you know, it's going to be a good challenge. They're a good side. They've been a consistent side. I mean, since I've been here the last 2 years, obviously they've pretty much consistently been in 3rd position. They've been very consistent. They've got European football this year, which I think has helped their players in terms of, you know, their growth. I think they've got a stronger squad this year than they had last year. So with all that in context, we know it's going to be a good challenge for us. But again, our form and our performances have been pretty consistent, and we want to continue that.
Andrew, spoken a lot about the milestone of 100 games, but at the weekend, I believe you eclipsed 250 goals in your reign as well. What does that tell you about the attacking prowess of your team? Because it's relentless.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoken about the 100 games. You guys have just asked me about them, so I didn't even know about it till I got asked this morning. So, look, I think the goals are important. Aside from the sort of statistical sort of emphasis on it, it's just, you know, it's the kind of team we want to be. We want to, you know, I've said all along, we want to be a team that plays sort of aggressive football. We want to be a team that scores a lot of goals, and it's not easy to do. And you know, it's easy to say. A lot of clubs and a lot of managers want to play attacking football, but we all know it's not that easy. And you know, not just from the point of view of the dominance you have, but also in terms of the mindset. Because I think, the weekend's game is probably a good example where we're kind of 3-1 up against 10 men, and we could have really seen the game out, but there's a real strong desire within the group, and some of that's driven by just competitiveness. Guys, who are coming on want to make an impact. They want to score goals. They want to play their part in what we do, and that I think has helped us sort of score more goals than you would normally see, even in a team that's dominant.
A few Aussies in the Hearts team as well. Cammy Devlin and Nathaniel Atkinson, Kai Rolls off the top of my head. I would imagine you've been looking at their performances in the World Cup. Can I just get a word on how you think they performed for Australia and if you've had any communication with them since?
No, I haven't had any communication with them, mate. I don't sort of, I've got a couple of Aussies here that take up my time, mate. I've got Aaron and Harry, so I've got my Aussie fix here. But I'm always kind of, keeping tabs with all the Aussie players. The lads at Hearts have done awfully well, and I think it's why Robbie's sort of gone there again and picked up players. I think, they've done really well there, and it's a credit to them. They've come from Australia, and I think the Scottish Premiership's a good league for them. I think, you look at a club like Hearts, it gives them what they need in terms of it's a step up. They've got a chance to play European football, and it's a big club. That they play in front of good support. So I think they've done well, and I think that's reflected in the fact that like I said, Robbie's gone back there a couple of times to pick up players from there.
And can I just ask you about Matt O'Reilly? He said to us that he came through some issues off the park, and then he's kind of feel that he's a better kind of character player for it, and obviously he deputised for Callum in that position for a long time and did well there. How have you seen him grow over recent months as well, just from dealing with the different stuff as well? Yeah,
really well. I mean, again, Matty's kind of, came in last January, and that's no disrespect, but he came from playing in League One, which was his first real experience at senior football, into an environment where he's, playing in front of 60,000 people, playing Champions League football, taking, some real responsibility as a young man. And I think he's been brilliant, and, he's consistently trying to improve. Again, he's one of these guys who wants to get to the absolute maximum out of his career. So there isn't a day that goes by that he isn't looking to better himself on and off the field. And he continues to, like I said, make strides in the areas he needs to. And he's played an awful lot of football for us since he came. I think there'd be very few games he hasn't actually played it, or missed. I think he's been looking really strong at training this last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. They haven't had midweek games, and you can see that now. When he's either starting or coming on, that he's making real impacts on games. And I'm sure he's got a strong finish, but he's got so much more, in him to get to other levels. I mean, he's like I said, it's really his second full year as a senior professional, and there's a lot more to come from him.
Can I just check about your team news? Is it the same as the weekend?
Yeah, pretty much. The only one was like prior to the St Mirren game. James Forrest got a bit of a muscle strain at training, so he's going to be out for a little while, which is unfortunate for him. So he'll miss, probably the next period of games, probably beyond the international break. Everyone else was okay from the weekend, and I'll assess everyone sort of later today and make sort of decisions. We obviously played on Sunday, and short turnaround to tomorrow, and then short turnaround to Saturday. So it's 3 games in 6 days. So we're definitely going to make some changes. Whether that's tomorrow or Saturday, I'll see how the squad is. But from a health perspective, everyone apart from James is available.
Hi, Ange. The Celtic bench is in a really strong place at the minute in terms of both the numbers and the talent available to you. Would you say that since taking charge, that this is the best pool of players to select from in terms of squad depth?
Yeah, look, I've said that. I think I said after the international break, I really feel this is the strongest sort of squad of players we've had. Not from the point of view of just sort of the quality of players, or it's more the impact that they're all making and the way they're training. And from my perspective, I just feel really, confident that whoever goes into the game, whether they start or sort of come on, is going to make an impact, because they're all really in a good space mentally at the moment, where they're all wanting to contribute, and from that perspective, this is the strongest we've been. Now, it's fair to say also the last sort of 4 weeks we haven't had any midweek games, so that means that, knock on wood, we've hardly had any injuries as well, which is great. But we need a strong squad. People forget the beginning of the year when we had Champions League football. It was very, very demanding, and I often made 4 or 5 changes to the team, because Champions League football takes a lot out of you physically, mentally, and our league form would have suffered if we didn't have a strong squad. We need to keep building on that and making sure that, whilst at the moment it may look like, it's a bit of a luxury that we've got so many good players in the building, it won't be long, and hopefully next year when the league starts again, we've got European football, that we're going to require a stronger squad.
And just talking about the bench, Liel Abad on Sunday played a massive part of coming off of it and ensuring another victory, and he took a step closer to 100 appearances for Celtic. How impressed have you been with his influence on the team since he joined last season, especially given his young age when he arrived at the club?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I mean, young age, coming from Israel, his first time out of the country, it's not easy. He was sort of blessed in a certain way, having sort of Near here as a sort of good influence on him, but the dressing room he walked into was a really good dressing room, because it was a new team. So he kind of, well, sometimes when you're new, it's hard to sort of gel. I mean, he was walking into a dressing room where everyone was new, so everyone was in the same boat, and I think that helped him. But he's done remarkably well. I mean, like I said, he was still a teenager. I think when he came, he was 19, and over the last, like I said, close to 100 games, if you look at the impact he's made just from goals and assists, as a winger, that's a requirement for us. You have to produce goals and assists because of the way we play. That's easier said than done, particularly for a young player, though. And he's constantly delivered, and he's always looking to improve himself and the way he sort of plays. And I can see that the improvements in Liel are more around his decision making during games, and how he can best use the talents he has. And like any young player, that needs time, it needs experience, and whilst he's been learning, he hasn't stopped impacting or sort of being a really key contributor to us. And his numbers, like I said, for a winger are right up there, extraordinary. And again, he's another one where I know there's more to come.